Hello, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy J Bunny here, and I'm bringing you guys part 2 of our how to prepare for NAT series, and we are featuring Altergeist today. Now, I did promise you guys that I would be featuring somebody else. I got my locals, but he never showed up on Saturday and all that good stuff, and I needed to post something, so, you know, as they say, the show must go on. So I will do my absolute best. I don't think I'm the absolute just Altergeist guru, and I knew the guy that I played against, I knew for a fact he was just how he played based, you know, versus other Altergeist players. And I wanted to kind of get his take on things, but nonetheless I couldn't get it. But luckily I played against him at least like 8 times, so I kind of absorbed his playstyle a little bit. Now, I want to show off, I got some World Chalice sleeves. These are the only sleeves that are available. I would have not have chose Crowned by my first choice, but, you know, that's the only World Chalice sleeves that are ever in existence. But anyway, we are going to get started, and we're going to do the same thing we did last video. You know, we're going to discuss, you know, what the engines are, you know, your main core cards are, and our win conditions in terms of monsters. So, for starters, we're not playing Altergeist without playing 3 Multi-Faker. Multi-Faker is what made the deck tier 1.5-ish, maybe tier 1, it depends. It's really great, especially if you have impermanence. If you have impermanence, then I would highly suggest you play this deck. Marionetters, I know people love Miluzik and all, and Miluzik does get you the pluses, and it adds a disruption, but I do believe Marionetter is the second best card in the deck, simply because this, for one, accesses you the best trap card, being Protocol, which means hand traps. Your deck can no longer give a shit about hand traps, which is huge. It's huge in this game, to be able to say no to any and all hand traps, and things like Macabre, Tri-Gate Wizards. That's why I believe this is the second best monster, because getting the Protocol in this format is just so damn important. Not only that, but I notice a lot of people do not use Marionetter's other effect to Monster Reborn cards, and that is something that Jose has done like a lot. He's really abused that effect in so many different ways. And obviously we got Miluzik's. Miluzik is awesome for the fact that it's level 1, you can turn it into a Link Rebo, get a search off, so you don't have to wait for your opponent to answer this card. You can get its effect off proactively instead of reactively. Not only that, but like, it just baits so many cards out. It baits so many negates or disruptions to where your Multi-Faker can go off uncontested. And obviously we were playing Magispector Kieran 2.0, because why not? It's a fucking Kieran that can bounce not only monsters, but it can bounce the trap cards as well. And here's something Jose has brought to my attention that a lot of people are not playing, and that is Conquery. Conquery is the reason why you don't lose. It is the reason why you don't lose games, because a lot of people don't like Conquery. I could never, even I didn't understand why people were not playing this card. People were playing it at 1, and sometimes even at 1, it's just not enough anymore, because Conquery is what stops you from losing the game, and on top of that, it allows you to turn off things like Light Stage. It allows you to turn off things like Royal Decree if your opponent's playing that. It allows you to turn off Dankos. Things like that is so crucial. Like, it negates attacks. It's got a 24 body. You can negate something, and then you can rebounce it with Kieran, and then respecial this and lock something else down, because this is not a hard once per turn. But there are times where you need a second one because you already opened this, and Conquery is something you don't want to open. It's something you want to search off of spoofing on your opponent's turn, and that is really key, because if you already have the one in, like, 1 is okay, but if it hits, the moment it hits the graveyard, you can't spoofing it out, because spoofing only works for face-ups and the ones that are in your hand. So with that being said, I highly recommend, if you are playing Altergeist, you are definitely playing Conqueri at some capacity. For the last bit of monsters, the reason why we win is 3 cherries. Because Altergeist is a deck to where you only need about 5 extra decks, the rest can be, you can literally fill up with anything remotely relevant to just absolutely just win the game and shut your opponent down. Except for, obviously, Tricksters, because Tricksters is just fucking Tricksters. But, you know, on with the duel, or on with the niceness. Next, we're playing 3 or 4 spells. We're playing 3 Duality and 1 Secret Village. Now, I don't know if I've told you guys, but when building a deck, especially, like, ever since 2016 and whatever, when you build a deck, you have to do one of 2 things. You either need to build your deck to, the cards you play should be to either speed your deck up or slow your opponent's, the opposing player's decks down. And Altergeist is one of the decks to where you really want to slow your opponent down, and that's what cards like Cherries, Conqueri, Secret Village, that's where stuff like this comes in handy. Now, Duality, we're playing this because we're not playing Demise, because you want to keep a hand, and keeping a hand is how you win, and all that good stuff. The one copy is Secret Village because it just wins games. You don't need to play too many. If you see it, then you got it, but if you don't, then you're not auto-losing because you're playing trap cards, because trap cards are actually good again. Next, we are going to go on to the reason why we win with this deck, and that is trap cards. Evenlies are the best ways to proactively trigger your multi-faker while clearing a board. Is phenomenal if you actually manage to resolve this. If you resolve this and you have a multi-faker in hand, you win the duel. Just hands down, you win. Now, when it comes to impermanence, I would highly suggest you guys play 3 copies if you can, because it allows you. Altergeist is just the deck, the best deck in terms of playing on turn 0, because of impermanence and multi-faker, just enabling you to have like 3 disruptions turn 1, and getting searches out of your deck is just absolutely amazing. But I only pulled the one. If for some of you who've seen my video, if you didn't see the comment I made below, I did open that one box and pulled 2 multi-fakers, and then I just went ahead and took my chances and bought a second box and pulled a 3rd multi-faker, and then pulled in the permanents. And so that's when I decided to build this deck. But instead, I am playing Heavy Dust Storms in place of the 2nd and 3rd impermanents because, well, back row is being played again. Tricksters are playing it. The Hybrid is playing it. Sky Strikers are playing it. Obviously, if you're playing the mirror match, you're going to see this. It's a trap card. It triggers multi-faker. It's a good card. I honestly don't know what else I would check in place of this, but this has been pretty freaking faithful. Now, on to the reason we really win. Oh, okay, never mind. The consistency. First, 3 spoofings, because it's not an Altergeist card. If that was an Altergeist card, this deck would probably be tier 1, like, undisputedly tier 1, because you can just go Marionette or set spoofing. Okay, have fun. Like, it's stupid. Like, I feel like Konami knew exactly what they were doing by not making spoofing an Altergeist card. Now to the actual Altergeist cards, we're playing some manifestations and some protocols. This is one of the reasons you win, because if your opponent cannot disrupt you, you have a much easier time against the meta. And the meta says, hey, I can put up as many disruptive cards against you and you're not going to do anything. So, Windwanker, no. Veiler, no. Ash, no. So many things you say no to. Trigate, no. Like, it's so, like, impermanence, no. And it negates monster effects. It's so, This card is just so good. But you don't want to play 3 because you see too much of it. Like, because when I was playing 3, not only was I opening this, but it's just like you would open this in like a Marionetter, which, okay, by default you would just set Manifestation, but sometimes I open Manifestation and Marionetter, so it's like you're going to have 2 anyway. And the last one we're playing, it's a tech. Some Altergeist players play it, some don't. For those of you who don't know what the hell this card is, it is a continuous trap that acts as an effect monster. Special summon this card is an effect monster. It's Spellcaster, which it follows suit all the other Altergeists. Light, level 4. It's got an 1800 booty, but it's got 1400 attack at the same time, so, you know, it's not all that bad. You can still push for damage. Now, if you summon this, it protects your Altergeist cards and all that good stuff. Not only that, but, you know, it also can obviously trigger Multi-Faker, and it is not treated as a trap card, which means you can make Hextia with this card. Now, if you make Hextia with it, you know, that's... the fact that it stops your cards from being targeted by things like Nightmare Phoenix, Unicorn, things like that, it really comes in if you're played against like a deck like Gokis or a deck like Tricksters, and you flip this over, and you preemptively shut them down. Not shut them down, but just completely protect these cards, you can secure yourself an easy victory. So, now, with the last 8 cards are basically our win conditions. This is the true reason why Altergeist win games. That is Floodgates. So, we are starting off with 2 rivalries, because a whole deck of Spellcaster, and you don't really need to go into anything else. 2 anti-spells, because the game is so spell heavy right now, to where if you're slowing your opponents down, if any deck is playing any sort of Sky Strikers, you're putting them 2 steps behind every time, especially if they have engages. You're putting them 2 turns behind, and that is huge for an Altergeist player. You as the player to get the ball rolling. Next, we got 2 more Floodgates, which is Imperial Order and Skill Drain. Imperial Order is an auto win. It literally auto wins against Tricksters and anything Sky Striker related, because contrary to belief, Sky Strikers can play around anti-spell if you don't close out the game fast enough, which, if you're playing Altergeist correctly, you should be able to turn 2. And I guess I will show off a little bit of combos. Not too much, but, you know, just a way to give people an idea of just how aggressive the deck can actually be. So with that being said, we're going to go on to the last 2 Floodgates, being Lose a Turn. Now, Lose a Turn isn't the worst, but it's not the best, but you want some options. The options are even though the Link monsters don't go to defense, their effects still get negated by the Lose a Turn, so Kagari's, Suzuku's, Isolde's, none of that stuff will actually resolve off the Lose a Turn. And if you're playing against like Rogue or something, Lose a Turn is just another auto win against, especially if you got Sequidus or something like that on the board. So this is the reason why you win. You win because Floodgates are slowing your opponents down so much to where Altergeist can really capitalize and really push and put themselves in a guaranteed winnable state, while at the same time it puts your opponent in an unwinnable game state. When you're facing down at least 2 Floodgates, a Miluzik, a Sequidus, a Multi-Faker, it's over. It's game over. So now, we're just going to move on to our very, very small extra deck package that we actually need. And that is Link Karibo, at least 2 Hextias, and a Banshee. Jose has shown me the light on Banshee and why it is so good, and why this allows you to OTK your opponent and all that goodness, and why a lot of Altergeist players, as he says, they do not know what they're doing when they undervalue Banshee. They don't like Banshee because it takes up so much space. It uses up a lot of monsters, when in reality you're using a Hexia, you're getting a Search, you've got Marionetter to get your monster reborn, you still have your normal summon and all that stuff. Like, people just do not know how that works. People do not know just how amazing Banshee really is, and just how easy it is to make Banshee and still have Hextia pointing to a Marionetter, having a second Marionetter on the board and a Sequidus and all that literally by turn 2, because Miluzik just says, I make all this happen. So, for those of you who want to know, comment down below Altergeist combo, and I will do my best to demonstrate that for you guys. But anyway, on to our cherries targets. We got Kagari, Helix, Firewall Dragon, because I don't own the Zold anymore, and quite frankly, you're a good Goki player is expecting an Zold to get answered or to get ripped by cherries, and so they have other plays that they can make. But if you don't cherries a Zold right away, and you sit there and you wait for the rematch, if you wait for them to play rematch and they activate the rematch and they summon their 2, and you cherries at that point and rip the firewall, it puts them at the it puts them in a very, very awkward spot. We also got Electrum because, you know, pendulums. We're really not worried about anything else. Now against Tricksters, we are going to play Borreload and all that goodness, so because we don't want to auto-lose to a Borreload, because if Borreload hits the board, well, we have to either hit it with a Protocol, which, you know, obviously the opposing player playing Borreload is smart enough to know not to get hit, but not to activate anything. So at that point, you have to either make your own Borreload, which the deck can easily do, or you have to have an Impermanence or something. Like, you know, you got Floodgates. You got, at least Conquery can actually make it to where Borreload is not just completely fucking you up, and that is another reason we play Conquery, for that very reason right there. Now, I am missing one extra deck, so bear with me on that, but for now we're gonna go on to the others. We're gonna play our generic Nightmares. We're playing Phoenix, we're playing Cerberus, and we're playing Goblin, and we're playing Link Spider, because we are playing Scapegoats on the side deck, just in case our opponent is playing Red Reboots and all that, so we don't auto-lose. We still have something to fight back with. For our 14th card, we're playing Mega Fleet, because we are also siding Cyber Dragons, because we were never losing to Gokis. No, were we? For the 15th card, I don't own the card. I did at one point, but I haven't bothered picking it back up. But that 15th card is Makaba, because Invoked can actually, any Invoked variant can actually do really good at grinding and potentially outgrinding this deck and all that. But this is why you have Protocol. You got things like Protocol to make sure that, hey, I can do, you know, I don't give a shit, but, you know, obviously, but, like, Meltdown is still a problem. Purgatrio and Raijin. Raijin is, yes, it is most definitely a problem. So, now we're going to move on to some side cards. Again, we are playing Scapegoats because we don't want to auto-lose to Red Reboot or any of that stuff. Now, I would recommend, if any Altergeist player has wiretaps, play wiretaps, because, yeah, you want to negate both reboots and evenlies, and you don't want to play Red Reboot because you don't want your opponent setting more Red Reboots or setting more evenlies, because if you don't know how to OTK your opponent, then, well, you're stuck getting shut down for another turn. Next, we got 5 more cards. This is the most important because Reincarnation sucks. Tricksters is one of your worst matchups for the reason that Reincarnation can rip multi-fakers. It can rip your Conqueries and all that. Not only that, but evenlies are also kind of bothersome, and, you know, and this is a trap card, so it triggers multi-faker. I would almost recommend main decking this card simply because the Trickster matchup is so prevalent that you don't want to just auto lose game one every time to a trickster player. That's just my personal opinion, though. I don't know the best decision, the best way to go about this whole thing, but you know, we're doing it as we go. So we got 3 Cyber Dragons because, you know, we're doing the Mega Fleet and everything. 2 Kaijus. You can do Sphere modes, you can do Lava Golems, and all that good stuff. But me personally, I still value the normal summon a lot, especially if you want to play Marionetter and set, and you want to do some more setup. Not only that, but they're good because if you already have Sequidus on the board, you can Kaiju over their stuff and use Sequidus and bounce the Kaiju and then just Kaiju over something else. Because that's, you know, because that's not value, right? And anyway, for my personal tech for this format, and it's like really wacky and really crazy, is this Watt Kinetic Puppeteer. This thing is actually like surprisingly good. Like, I remember people were talking about this when it got announced, like, months ago. But I didn't think it was that... Like, I thought, you know, I tested it because I just wanted to fill in some side deck space. Like, yeah, it's whatever, it's something. But, man, I did not realize just how good this was. Like, this card, damn. This card kills Gokis because it's like, okay, the moment they summon their Trigate, you can literally sit there, and right before they finish their combo, if they didn't already make their Goblin, you can literally sit here and go, okay, quick effect discard. Trigate is either in zone 2 or zone 4, and you would just move it way the hell over to the right zone. Like, I would just do it when they summon it, but it leaves them in the most awkward spot, and they can't really do anything about it. And it really blows them out. It blows out Gokis. And against Sky Strikers, when they set everything, and you go end phase, okay, discard, okay, main monster zone you go, because it can hit extra monster zone cards too. Right here, quick effect, send this card from hand or field, so it's got some attack power. You can beat your opponent down with it. From hand or field to the grave, target one monster your opponent controls, move it to another of their main monster zones. So it's like, I've been like fucking with people with this all damn day. Like, I've even hit a Skull Eat with this. When they summon it up top and they do their mulligan shenanigans, and I'll go activate and put Skull Eat from like here to like way over here, and it's so awkward because they don't even get that up arrow. They don't get anything, and it's like, okay, you just lost yourself 4 zones for no fucking reason, and it's actually pretty freaking funny, especially when if they summon Firewall Dragon, especially, and they want to try to link into their Mermaid. You can also just discard this and put Firewall way the hell over, and you're to the rightmost zone, because every time they summon Firewall, it's either in zone 2 or zone 4, depending on what side they comboed from. And not only does it stop the not extra link, co-link from the Ibli, or from the Mermaid summoning the Ibli. They don't get a draw or any of that, but it robs Firewall of the ability to have 2 to 3 co-links, so you can't just return like that, like multiple Iblis on the board, and it just fucks them up. It fucks them up heavily, and I heavily underestimated just what this card can do, and at the same time, it's not once per turn, which adds a little bit more insult to injury, but that's that tech that I just randomly decided to throw in just because turned out to work pretty nicely. It really helped me out. And it's a nice little backup plan in case your Cherries gets hit by Call by the Grave too. So yeah, there's that. But at the same time, I would still want to slide some wiretaps if I had them. So that is something I would still recommend doing. Now, Tricksters is the toughest matchup for a few reasons. One, because light stage, but if you can see, every single card in this deck is chainable, except Evenly's, but we were never setting that card. So every single trap card is chainable, so we solved that problem. The burn aspect isn't too big of a deal because our boards were never going to be wide the hell open. The biggest problem is reincarnation, though. Reincarnation is kind of what ruins things a little bit. It disrupts multi-fakers, it disrupts all that good stuff. It rips the card you search off of Miluzik, it rips the card you search off of Hextia, it rips the monster that you bounce off of Sequidus. Yeah, it sucks. It really does. However, if you're smart enough and you keep if you keep Grave Presence, because that's what linking into the Banshees and the Marionetters also help do. They help you have Grave Presence, so reincarnation itself isn't that big of an issue. Not only that, but the moment you establish a Hexia, reincarnation is probably not resolving. So that is also something you guys may want to consider. And all that goodness. So when you got things like that, you realistically should be good to go. Not only that, but this is why we got Chaos Hunters and Imperial Iron Walls on the side. And again, if Tricksters is really that big of an issue for you, I would probably recommend you main deck the Chaos Hunter. So that's the theory on that. I do want to show you guys more Altergeist stuff because I do like this deck. Even though it's not a super combo deck, there are some control decks I do like. And yeah, so if any of you guys want some of the combos as to how to just establish really quick advantage or OTK your opponent, then well, just let me know in the comments below, because as Jose has built his deck is built so damn good to where it's like you literally have one turn to beat him. If you don't beat him, you lose. Because it's like, if he doesn't OTK you, he's got so much overwhelming advantage. Backfield, hand, field, it's insane. He'll have Banshee, Hextia, like Marionetter, maybe another Marionetter, a Kieran, like a multi-faker way over here that probably got sacked off by Marionetter to summon Hextia, and Hextia already searched you another card because it went to the graveyard to summon Banshee, and then you're sacking off Sequidus to summon Miluzik, and it's just like, this is so, like, he does all this on his second turn, and it's just absolute insanity. So, that's enough rambling. I really want you guys to rate this one because I'm not the best Altergeist player and all that. I want to hear you guys' opinion on my take on Altergeist and how they can play, especially when they're versing Tricksters, because that is the bad matchup this deck supposedly has. So, thank you guys very much for watching. This is J Money, and I am signing out.